messing around. How have you been? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
I've been good. It's crazy. This, we're going to do Exes today. That's our big recap episode today. Mm-hmm. And once again, don't remember this episode at all. But man,
I remember
could not be a more perfect thematic episode for you and I to discuss.
Oh, really?
Well, because we're on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Of
our idea. Like when I watch this episode, I'm like, I'm Nick Miller. And you are Jess. You think it's possible. And I'm like, no. So I got so excited when I was like, oh, this is not just like a show where like an ex shows up. This is an episode where they actually deep dive and unpack the whole thing. It was a great episode. What's weird about it, and this is my question for you, is that when I went to go look for the script, I couldn't find it because what we shot after the Prince episode was not this. It went straight into Sister and all the sister ones. So this one, if you notice, story-wise, doesn't really tie into anything else that happens during the season. So I don't know when this one was shot, but it was slotted in between Prince and Sister, but it wasn't shot as our 15th episode, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. I do remember that. I remember, we did that a few times. We would shoot out of order, and to make things make sense, or to place, some of these non-linear episodes in there, we would just kind of find a place to put them.
I wondered if it was like a Linda Cardellini thing where they couldn't get her to shoot, you know what I mean? Like, so they had to like bump this one in, then we shot that later, then aired it. But it's funny because you look up 315 script wise, and it's Sister is the 315 script, not this one, which is Exes. So I couldn't really do, because I was like, I wonder how much like the script changed. And I couldn't really I couldn't find it because of course, none of those scripts, like when you look through it in your emails, are titled Exes. That's something that would be on the page, but not in like the email. So it's very hard to find. Anyway, so I don't know, but I did love this episode. And like huge guest stars in this episode.
Oh, yeah. The biggest.
Huge guest stars.
Okay. Well, let's dive in, okay?
Let's get into it. I'm excited. I don't even need the banter. I don't even know how you're doing. I don't care today. I want to get into this. I care. I care. I care how you're doing today.
Yeah, I was gonna like unleash, you know what I mean, and unload and unburden myself. Was what has been unburdened by what's unburdened. That's what I was gonna do, to be burdened by what's unburdened. But now I got to keep that burden because you don't want to be burdened with my unburdening.
Not today, but you know what? Next week we'll deal with the burdens. But this week, this is from
this week we can deal with Birdie. We can deal with Birdie this week.
This is from Time. This is a When Harry Met Sally episode. It's an age-old question, and I want to get after it. So let's go.
Fine. In this episode, Hannah, after Nick awkwardly bumps into his ex, Caroline, Jess tries to argue that it's possible for exes to maintain a friendship. Meanwhile, Schmidt, Winston, and Coach get crazy by bringing 3 girls all back to Schmidt's place at the same damn time. Leading to a possible sixsome, which is what I hear they do in Montreal all the time. We'll be right back. This episode here, Exes, was directed by Alex Hardcastle and written by Nina Pedrad. Now, Alex imagine Hardcastle being your last name. That's cool.
I mean, you're setting some expectations up.
Well, what kind of expectations are you talking about, Hannah?
That you have a castle. That you own a castle.
That's very hard. Alex Hardcastle, you don't deserve this.
And Nina Pedrad, for those of you that don't know, is Nassim's sister. Nassim Pedrad's sister.
Her little sister.
Super talented, incredible.
That's a crazy family right there. How do you have that many gifted people in the family like that?
And gorgeous. Like stunning, gorgeous, talented, wonderful.
I dated both of them, so
humans.
I know. I did
You
it.
dated none of them.
None of them. Wishful thinking.
None of them.
Okay, so Winston, in the beginning, this is the top of the episode. Winston is on his computer. He's in the kitchen applying for the LAPD entrance exam. So we do see, more about Winston's career objective here. And then Nick and Jess, they come storming in as one does at the top of every episode.
Yeah, sure.
They let Winston know that they ran into Nick's ex.
Yeah.
At the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Which was awkward. Which is very, very awkward. Does this happen to you ever?
I remember, that restaurant Toast that was by my old apartment?
Yep.
Love that place, by the way.
Beverly or Third or one of those two? Beverly.
Yeah, on Third.
Third.
And it was just like, I feel like at least 10 years ago, that was like the breakfast spot.
Yeah.
And it was right next to my apartment. So I'd always go walk down and meet a friend who would have breakfast. And I do remember once seeing at a far table an ex.
Oof. And then what happened?
I just kept it moving.
You guys did it. At the table?
It was like, I'm just gonna I don't know if they saw me. I don't know. It's fine. And I slunk out, man. That was me. I was a slunker.
A slunker?
You would walk over and be like, "What's up?"
No,
Heather?
I'm not gonna. Wait, were you with? Okay, so when you saw an ex at the table,
Yeah.
were they with another?
Yeah.
Were they with another woman?
No, they were alone. They were reading the newspaper.
Were you with
eating their breakfast?
Were you reading the old school newspaper? Would you date a professor?
He kind of was a professor.
And this is Kanye. So you and then who are you with?
Who was I? I don't remember. I was with a friend. I wasn't alone. And then I was just like, why am I going to interrupt the newspaper just to say hi? Like, why? Like, there's no why for the hi. Bye.
Okay, well, if you guys weren't
turned into
friendly,
Dr. Zeus. That's how nervous I am even talking about this. There's no why for the hi. Bye. What am I doing?
Hannah, that's so childish.
We haven't even got into the episode. I'm short circuiting.
Yeah, you're on another level today.
Okay, all right.
What's funny
I just have to say the Damon line where he says you can't spell sex without the X and does the thrust. Definitely not scripted. No thrust was scripted.
No, you can't thrust. You can't script a thrust. I don't think you're allowed to do that. You can't script
a thrust. Yeah. So
my
funny.
favorite though in that flashback was when Nick threw himself back onto that table. He's so
funny.
awkward. He's so
just
awkward
to get out of the conversation.
Yeah, you could just be like, peace, I'm about to go in labor or something, and just walk away.
In labor. Say something believable. Do something believable.
My baby's on his way.
I will say the thing that I saw at the cold open, I don't know if you remember this, is when Max is trying to pull your hand in the scene.
Yeah.
Right? And it's on your back. Mm-hmm. You're just openly laughing at him. He obviously had done it so many times and now been yanking at you that you were just, I love that so much that we know each other so well that I'm like, this is Lamorne, that's Lamorne's body laughing. This has nothing to do with Winston right now.
I wanted it to be in threes. I wanted him he had done it in a couple takes but they only used the one where he lifts my hand. He lifts my hand and it falls and makes that sound. And he does. I wanted him to do it again. And it just keeps falling and making that sound. When I watched it, I thought that was the take they were going to use, but they didn't use that one. But anyway,
so funny.
Yeah. Where are we?
Okay. Man, now they dive into the conversation. Winston says he's still friends with all his exes' families.
Yes.
This is just weird now. He sends Shelby's dad a Father's Day card. He sends Winston's $5 on his birthday. I will say this. I remember going home one Christmas and finding out from my stepmom that my ex-boyfriend from college and her would email at Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Your ex-boyfriend from college
and my stepmom. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, he's doing well. He's gotten married. And I'm like, oh, you guys just have a friendship now. Okay, all right.
Your current stepmom?
No, she's passed.
But I didn't know what you were talking about. Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, my stepmom, she was in my life for 30 years, but she's passed now. But I remember going home, whatever it was, 10 years ago, and she was just like, I don't know how his name came up, and she's like, oh yeah, I just heard from him. He's doing great. And we were like, how would you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, at Christmas, we send each other a little note. And I'm like, what?
I had a horrible joke, but she's passed, and I don't want to say it.
Don't make any horrible jokes.
It'd be so funny if she was scrolling through her phone like, he's doing well. And then there's like a picture of his chest shirtless. She's like, wait, stop. Sorry.
He was a good looking man. I would not falter if that was actually the reason.
I don't know why
She's only human. So Coach is still friends with all of his exes for sex. Can't spell sex without the X. But that's my belief. That's my belief. I believe that people are friends with their exes because they're still holding on or out for something.
Well, I wouldn't say that all the time. It's different. It's different with every scenario. I'm friends with some exes that I don't want to be involved with whatsoever. I value them in a different way. You know, and which is one of the reasons why maybe it didn't work out. The romance wasn't there, but they're awesome people. And it just was like, oh, okay. Maybe we've seen each other naked, but we don't have to do that again. I value you as a friend. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
But then there are some exes where you're just like, there's some exes where you just want to be diabolical, especially if your ex is with somebody else. You know, you want to be diabolical. You want to get in there and see if you can shake things up a little bit and then disappear.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Some
saying.
exes.
I feel like that's the big motivation. So I love this. I love that they get into this big deep dive conversation where Jess says to Nick that he needs to get some closure with Caroline. Obviously, something's going on if your body's reacting like that and you are throwing yourself into a fruit stand. Like, obviously, you need to figure this out. She obviously needs to hear something from you. Go talk closure, which then brings up a whole other conversation. How important or necessary or needed is closure? And can you get closure from the other person? Or is that something you can just figure out by yourself?
I think you can figure it out by yourself, but you do need distance. If you live in the same neighborhood and you shop at the same places, I think that's what Jess was probably saying. We're going to keep running into each other. Now you have to actually put some action into, breaking the tension. If I live in one part of town, you live away, 40 minutes away, the odds are I probably won't see you on my local Saturday. You know what I mean? I probably won't see you. And which is fine. You don't necessarily have to have that conversation. But if y'all live down the street from each other, you gotta have it.
I agree with you, actually. I'm a little surprised, but I agree with you.
You surprised? Why? Should I bring?
Well, I don't know. I just feel like you and I have different points of view on this X situation, but I do agree with you. I do think that this thing like closure, you have to always sit down and talk it out and do it. Sometimes the person who hurt you or that you're whatever, because, Caroline's hurt. You don't need to go to the person who hurt you to like figure it out sometimes. Just be like, no, I'm going to work on this by myself. And then like I can close my own door. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But if you're going to keep bumping into each other.
Right.
Then just like figure it out. Have the conversation.
Like if you're an NBA player and she's a cheerleader and you guys are dating, you're going to see each other every game. Have the talk.
Have the talk. You're making it weird for us
awkward.
as the fans.
Awkward.
I do love that Jess's ex is called Berkeley.
That was intentional. That was funny.
So intentional. We had a writer called Berkeley who also, by the way, wore those like, yeah, that's right. They dressed him like him. That's me too. I was like, that's a Berkeley sweater for sure. Berkeley was a writer for New Girl who is incredibly talented, one of the funniest writers, and the kindest men, and a gorgeous man.
Oh, tell him how you really feel.
I feel like that was like a known thing. Why am I?
Hannah, wait. Whoa. Revelation alert. Whoa.
He was a good-looking man. I'm sorry.
What do you mean was? He still is.
I mean, I haven't seen Berkeley in a minute.
Oh.
Have things changed for you, Berkeley?
Berkeley. Boy, you single? You single, Hannah? Oh, my gosh. He had this beautiful, long, flowing hair.
He did.
He did. But Berkeley, played by Adam Brody, the fantastic Adam Brody. So funny in this episode. So funny in this episode.
He was very funny in this episode because somehow he played cringe perfect.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like he had this, he could walk the line of being so cringy, but you could kind of get where they're like little chemistry, like why he would have been like great with Jess.
Yeah.
It was perfect casting, perfect acting choices. He crushed it.
Oh yeah, he crushed it. Let's rewind a second.
Yeah.
Schmidt, you know, he moved out and he has his, you know, he has a new loft and he's finally finished it. Right. So we talk about that. So we go, we're inside of his place. Is that where we are? Yeah, we're inside of his place. No, we're not there.
Is this the grapies part? Because that's my favorite thing, where they do a little cutaway to how great it is to live alone. And he goes like, grapies, come here, garapies. And then he starts crying. And I was like, I don't, you know, I remember living in my apartment by myself. And the amount of, I would talk to myself a lot. You just start talking to things.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I just do. I was like watching it and I'm like, that's exactly what it's like when you live alone. You just like, you know, you might talk out loud more.
Oh,
you also can like cry more freely. When you have roommates, you probably can't just be like, ooh, that's
when
so
you're
sad.
at home by yourself, what are you crying about exactly?
I don't know. Maybe think of something and you could just cry. I think crying is very cathartic.
Just go watch The
I'm
Color
here
Purple.
for a good cry. It's a very British thing. I have a British mother to be like, just go have a good cry.
You just go watch Medea Goes to Jail and just sit there and have a moment. You know what I mean?
That's your go-to. That's your go-to about where the tears come from. No, but I'll put it on the list.
I love when you're at the bar and Schmidt comes to let you. Well, Schmidt comes and he's trying to talk to this girl and he's a stalker a bit. It comes off as like creepy when he's
like,
trying to.
my apartment, no one can hear you scream.
Scream. It's so funny.
Most terrifying thing.
Yeah.
You know that I remember having someone once said to me, sitting at a bar, they said something and they kind of like moved in a certain way. Like, I guess I reacted and they went, don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. Bye. Goodbye. Look at your eyeballs. Goodbye. What? Don't ever. Why would you say that as don't. You're a murderer for sure.
No, I'm shocked at you. He's telling you he's not going to hurt you. He's giving you all the.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I was like, that's what Schmidt reminded me of at this scene. I was like, what is happening?
I'm not gonna hurt you. You won't feel a thing.
Let's talk about this girl that they wrote that he was so rude and so weird and the parking thing was so uncomfortable and she still showed up.
Oh yeah.
Who hurt her? Who hurt her?
You mean when he just comes by and he tells her? That's so funny. But yeah, it happens. I've done that before.
There's nowhere to park. Figure it out. I don't know you. I've said one thing that's genuinely terrifying. Goodbye. And she's like, you know what? Yes.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
And she goes there. And well, Schmidt gets home and he realizes that Tiffany Haddish is there. Tiffany Haddish is.
Oh wait, no, we missed a huge part of this.
Which
we got
part?
so excited. The part where he brings Winnie, right? And he brings Coach over and shows him the bang spots. What are we talking about? We just missed like the best part of this episode. The part that. Oh my gosh, we missed that part. That part where you guys come in, you get your free coupons for like the sub, and what did you say? Probably get ham. One of the funniest lines ever. Yeah, I cried laughing. I was like, what? Also not scripted.
Not scripted.
For sure. You go in and the bang spots, which ends up being the tag at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
All these crazy names.
I love the bang spots because it's a throwback to episode 2. Season 1, episode 2, where I believe Schmidt is trying to show Jess all of the places that he could do it in his room.
In his room.
He's like, I can go over here, I can do it over here, I can do it over there. And that's why I thought it was very, very funny. Now that he has his own place, he has 15 of them in one room.
That's why he has so much seating. Also hysterical. A single man, and he's got like 9 couches. Yeah. But they're different shapes to support different sexual positions that he has named himself.
Yes. The
like,
glass menagerie. What that was?
The glass menagerie.
I could sit her right on top of that thing.
It's so, but also the other move, by the way, I was like, who came up with this idea? Because it's actually genuinely smart, with the coffee table that lifts and it's a cooler inside.
Yeah.
I was genuinely impressed by that.
I think I've seen that in like a beer commercial once.
It does. It feels like a real Bud Light Super Bowl 100%. Moment.
Got your, but it's a great idea though. It's a great idea.
That's what I said too. I was like, oh man, you've got these guys for sure wanting to come hang out at your place now. I'm
sure they have those though. Like I'm almost positive they have refrigerated tables.
Sure. Why not?
You think? I don't know. Go buy one. You're rich.
I don't know, but I feel like they should. If not, it's kind of like the swoot. We're serving up some good ideas here, you guys.
The swoot happened too. That's the
I know.
Funny thing. Okay. So
then he gives them a key. This was where the trouble starts for whatever his name is, Frank Scarfalopoulos. Scabopolis.
Mm-hmm.
Is because of the key that he then gives, which that's a huge move. I don't know if I've ever just given anybody, like, I feel like you have so many friends that come by your place all the time. Do they have keys to your house or the code to your house?
Yes. But I the way my gate is set up is that they all have their own individual codes to the front gate. So when someone's coming in, it tells me who that person is, and there's a video of it.
So you trust them, kinda.
Well, it's not them. It's also for delivery folks, and like UPS, Amazon. They have their own code that they use, and the Gardner has their own code. So whenever someone is entering the premises, there is a record. You give
UPS and Amazon and everybody a code to your house.
It's not my house.
Or to your property?
It's the gate. Yeah,
this is also a big difference between you and I. My trust issues. There's no chance.
Well, here's the thing. You don't want to try to get into my house. And there lies the problem, because I have 10 soldiers on standby, ex-military, that just live in my front room.
That's true.
And they have all kinds of weaponry. Some I've never heard of. Some medieval stuff.
Slingshots.
There's a person with a slingshot. The actual slingshot.
Guns.
Well, there was the actual slingshot that was used to take down Goliath, that David used to take down Goliath in the Bible.
I remember you got that on eBay. That was a big day.
Big purchase. Easiest $30 million I've ever spent.
I know. Just like pop.
Yeah, so nobody wants to try like actually do harm to me.
No. You got the turrets with the molten lava.
Yeah.
They come down from the turrets.
I don't know how many times I got to show you fools this. But like people think
Vin Diesel send you an axe.
People think I'm playing games.
Oh my God, you pulled it up. I can't. I'm dying. Why would I just say that right now? You guys, we don't rehearse these things, okay? We're just sharing a brain now.
Don't try me.
We spent too much time together in our life, and now we're just sharing a brain. Okay, wait. Go back to the episode for a second, because we also have to talk about this. Is when Nick looks at the text that Jess sends her ex, because she's like, you should talk to my ex. We're super good friends. And he's like healed and grown and evolved and wonderful. Then she sends a text. Okay, and I wrote this down because it starts, hey, babe. Do you understand? Jaw drop. Hey, babe. And then ends with then she says, like, my boyfriend is having some problems. What? And then ends with XOXO.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy. Don't you think if like your girl sent that to her ex and you saw the text?
Mm-hmm.
That's problematic.
She out the house. I'm buying her a bus ticket.
For sure.
She's gonna have to move to
like
Pomona.
How naive do you have to be like, that's fine, to like text an ex, hey babe.
Yeah.
My boyfriend's having some problems right now, XOXO, and I was like, no.
People take security to a whole new level. There's one thing, you can be secure, but then there's also stupid. Like, let's just not even cross that line.
I thought you were still talking about your house. I was like, did you not hear that we've moved on to talking about the ex and the text?
No.
People talk about security. I was like, Lamorne.
No, not that silly, but that is true too.
I know what you're talking about. I'm with you.
But people go, oh, it's okay. Like I'm, my man's secure. I'm gonna send this other guy a picture of my butt, just to see how it looks in these jeans. He's a friend. You need to stop. It's like that's too much.
No,
hey, babes.
Too much.
Yeah, that's too much.
And the fact that Nick calls her out on it, he says, like, what are you doing? You can't text that. And she's still standing by it. Again, I didn't remember this episode. So I was like, this is going to somehow show that Jess is right. But I was sitting there in my full Nick Miller being like, this is so inappropriate. This is so crazy. That's why I love this episode. Okay, continue.
No, so we're there's a bit of a mix up.
Carolyn wants to know when Nick walks out on her, right? They chat, then it's fine. Then she sees that they're together, and then she goes crazy. Right?
Oh, they're outside. They're outside. Well, you mean so right before that, Jess convinces Nick to go and actually sit down with Caroline and have this discussion, which I think is stupid. But they go and they do it, and Nick obviously can't get it out. He's just like, I wonder what it would be like to like not have any thumbs. He's just kind of moving about the cabin in a very Nick Miller fashion, and then he sees Jess and he's like, oh, it went great. Then they kiss, and then that's when Caroline sees him.
Then she clocks it,
and she's like, oh, it's you. It was you. Let me just put it out there. Caroline crazy. It ain't got nothing to do with
She's crazy. Yeah. But he also knows. I think that's where a lot of his hesitation is like, she's got a side to her that scares me. And I don't really want to like activate the side.
Yeah. That's nuts. Bananas.
Yeah. Cool. So I kind of get his hesitation too, to be like, do you really need to tell somebody that like, I was in love with somebody else. And yes, I did actually like lose interest in you for someone else. Do we have to really say all those things? Isn't it kind of evident?
Exactly. So Jess is trying to convince Nick that he should talk to her ex about how to fix this whole situation because, he's this guy. They figured it out. They've
have a healthy
mastered
relationship now.
He's a stay-at-home dad. He's he knows the what, and so. And he's
a grown-up is what he's saying. He's like a grown-up with grown-up relationships and talk to my ex. And even Nick Miller is just like, why would I call your ex to talk about how to deal with my ex?
Exactly. I think this is where the bang spot. I think this is where the bang spot part happened.
Oh.
Okay, we'll rearrange that, Joel.
The backward oops. Yeah, you're right. Okay, then this is the part that happened. My favorite part.
That's your favorite part. Oh, you want to talk about it again? Are we good?
No, I think we can just drop it in. But my favorite part happens now.
So now Jess is downloading Berkeley on all the happenings, right? She lets him know that Nick didn't tell his ex they were together. Berkeley says exes are a lot like babies. And Nick doesn't get the what Berkeley calls a classic fatherhood metaphor. So Berkeley tells Nick he needs to face her. Okay, just face her. Let her get everything off her chest. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Jess and Berkeley, they keep making each other laugh. It's silly. They're being silly gooses. Jess tells Berkeley that he's incredible and that she's so lucky to have him in her life. Just get out. Get out the house, Jess. Bus ticket to North Dakota. I don't want to see you again. If this is your behavior. That's what I would have done.
It's crazy.
You know me.
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
And Nick's watching it. By the way, we're talking about grown, mature responses. I feel like the fact that Nick didn't fly off the handle and just was like witnessing what is genuinely nuts.
Yeah.
And was cool about it. I was like, he's actually the grown one.
He actually is. Or he's just stupid.
It's one of the two.
Because men know men. I would have been like, bruh, I see you, dog. I see what this is. And that's what he was trying to say. Yeah. He said guys who are still friends with their exes, they're trying to get back in there a little bit,
Sure.
And we'll find out later on, obviously spoiler, that he was right. But we're gonna go to a break first, and then we're gonna get into it.
We're back.
We are back. Yes.
We are back. Exes.
Yes.
Okay.
So at the bar, this is the moment in which Schmidt is inviting a lovely young lady back to his place.
That's right. Terrifying.
Shockingly, she's going to show up. But Jess is doing the dishes.
This is the part that when I watched the show, I genuinely yelped out loud. I was so happy that this happened because this is what I think is truly happening to most people. Okay.
Most people, yeah. Especially with dudes with sweaters like that.
For sure.
He comes in, Berkeley runs up to her just to tell her that he's been wanting to end things with his wife for years.
Boom, there it is.
So that he and Jess can finally be together. What a real piece of S word. You know what I mean?
He's got a he's married with a baby.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to go and you're going to try
gross.
to swoop in on someone's relationship and you have a wife and a baby, at least give the baby and the wife back and then show up and try to, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Do it with a babe in arms.
Say,
so weird. Yeah, Berkeley says Claire, his wife, doesn't appreciate him. Like Jess says, he closes his eyes and goes in for the grossest kiss.
Yeah.
So funny what he chose to do, Mr. Adam Brody. And then she tries to rip the sink hose right out to like
says,
spray
"Damn
him
it,
back.
Winston."
And she's like, get back. It's broken, I guess, because of Winston.
Because of Winston. Yeah. Or Winston probably tried to fix it and it didn't work out.
Didn't work out. And then he thinks now this is like a little
Sexual.
like sexy moment of like water spraying all over his body and gets so, what does he say? Make my mouth wet? Bye. So gross. He gets
we've all
so
been
gross
there.
and so weird with the whole thing. So funny and such a great moment in the story because now is Jess grown enough to say to Nick, you were right.
Yeah.
This ex is trying to get back with me. Also, new thought, maybe don't go hang out with your ex. That is Nick's messages. So let's reevaluate. But she doesn't.
No.
She does not make these choices. Meanwhile, over in Schmidt's apartment.
That's right. Schmidt comes home to find the Tiffany Haddish.
I was surprised too. Forgot about that she was even on our show.
Yeah, I remember the shame of it, meaning like they didn't really let her gun it. They didn't let her go full Haddish, which would have, I mean, and I think there were moments where she was improvising a little bit. They didn't use it. Like, you gotta be kidding me. But this is before she had really taken off.
For sure.
Like Damon
it's a
knew her
tiny
from
role.
Damon knew her from the comedy circuit. You know what I mean? Like I'd seen her at comedy clubs, and that's how they knew each other. But she hadn't done Girls Trip yet. So she didn't really have that big pop yet. And so people didn't see it coming. But we had a golden opportunity to just have her go. Showcase. But anyway, so her and Coach are about to get it in. And this whole time, Coach has been pretending to be Schmidt and that this was his apartment. Yeah. Schmidt comes in and he calls him, that's my good friend, Frank Skabopoulos.
What a funny made-up name. Frank Skabopoulos is amazing. Yeah. And what's funny is that they always said that about Berkeley, the writer, that he had a genius way of coming up with names in the show. So I wonder if this was, talk about meta, like Berkeley naming the Schmidt, Frank Skabopoulos.
You know what I never asked? If who named Winston? Who named Winston?
And I feel like all of those names, came from something. Like Cece is the name of Liz Merriweather's best friend.
Yeah. I got to ask that.
Yeah. Where did the Winston, what was the origin story?
All of them. Like, who did the naming? You know what I mean? Could be Liz.
Of the core characters. Yeah. I wonder.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
I think, yeah. So, Jess, she's a little concerned. We're back in the other loft now. Jess is a little bit concerned. Well, obviously concerned. She's like, "Where is this coming from?" And he lets her know that she's been playing games with him this whole time. You know what I mean? The text messages.
It's been clear you want me. You send me kisses and hugs and say I need you, and you tell me you have problems with your boyfriend, and you are telling me how great I am and how you didn't know how to do life without me. Like, hello. Yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
It's wild.
It's wild. And then he says, I love you.
Here's my motto. My motto is, you never tell a woman you love her, ever.
This is my foolproof way to have healthy relationships. Never say it out loud.
Yeah, you can wink a lot. I can buy you things. I'll never tell you I love you.
So here's where now Jess has to make a decision. And what does she do? She says, put a sock in it. I can't let Nick know that he was right. Yep. Huge mistake. Yeah. Ridiculous. Because Caroline is outside trashing a car, not Nick's car. She thinks it's Nick's car, but she's out there and going crazy because she thinks she's trying to math the math. And she's going like, you cheated on me. Like, you didn't break up with me. Like, you cheated on me and lied. And now you're texting like, let's be friends. So she, by the way, rightfully so, is now just like pissed.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. You know what I find interesting about her being so upset? When we find Nick in the beginning of this series, isn't he crying over Caroline?
Yeah.
But she's upset with him. Later on, he reveals that he's loved Jess ever since he saw her.
That's what he says.
Yeah, but Caroline should be like, yeah, you're right. I did break your heart.
Yeah.
They weren't together.
Messy. Most breakups are messy. They're messy. They're confusing. You're kind of putting a toe in. You're putting a toe out. You're trying to figure it out. It's emotional all over the place.
She's going on dates with Tyrese, Yeah.
You know, they had a big, deep relationship for a long time. It was a bit of a disaster
100%.
at the end. Everybody got hurt.
But he tells her to come.
Pissed now.
She's pissed, and she's destroying the car, and he's like, he's trying to like fix this. So she's about to like come up to this, come up to the loft.
Yeah, and he's panicking because she's now violent.
Right. And it's at the exact same time that Schmidt's lady is coming up to this newfound lady is coming up to the loft as well. And remember, they live on the exact same floor. So she hits the floor. They go upstairs, and Caroline is just, she's going crazy.
She's trying to kick that door in.
Trying to kick the door in, and the other woman across is she's very weirded out by it. She's extremely frightened. And I just love that Berkeley whispers to Jess, he knows she's scared. That will be brave. Who's going to be the one to tell Nick? He still isn't getting it.
And Jess is going like, you have to go back to your wife and your baby. You have to go.
Yeah.
And Nick now goes like, no, we can't have him go because Caroline's outside. And so please be here and be safe, which is now hysterical. Perfect comedy writing. Nick is now keeping Berkeley in.
He's keeping it. He doesn't know because he doesn't know there's a wolf in the hen house. He doesn't know that. Is that a saying?
No.
Oh, okay.
It is a great saying. Mm-hmm.
Well, there we go. Okay, so now we're back in Schmidt's loft.
Yeah.
Where it's getting confusing.
It's getting confusing.
That's right. I love the fact. I love when Coach tells her to go back to the room. He's like, I wonder if this was in the script when he tells her not to drink the water by his bed. It's got his contacts in it.
It's such a Damon thing to say. Again, I couldn't find the script, but it's such a Damon thing to say. Also, this back and forth about I'm about to get some squish also sounds like Damon.
It is Damon. He made that up.
And the donkey. And the way Schmidt, by the way, just is just like, look, as a feminist, basically, no, I don't know her. Don't call her a donkey. I love Schmidt for that.
And I love that Schmidt. So Schmidt gives in. He says, you know what? You can have that room. I'm going to use the guest bedroom.
This part.
When he opens the door, he finds Winston in bed with Bernie playing bad cop, black cop. Is that what they said?
I thought they said bad cop. And now I'm reading this and it says bad cop, black cop.
I don't know.
There's no way it's called bad cop, black cop.
There's no way.
There's no way. It's bad cop,
bad cop. Yeah. It's
gotta be. That's wild otherwise.
So Caroline, she's
going nuts.
She's going nuts. Berkeley, at this moment, Berkeley suggests that he and Jess give Nick some space by going to a hotel. Jess tells Berkeley out loud.
With the baby, by the way?
Okay. Yes. She goes, I don't love you. She goes, I don't love you. Now this.
Oh, yeah. She's just like, enough. Like, she's had enough. So she just tells Berkeley, like, it's not going to happen. I don't love you. Which now his whole world has been rocked because he had made a decision to leave his wife. for whom he thought was clearly in love with him. So he thought he would had this whole new life all mapped out and it was going to be beautiful. So now he's rocked.
Yeah. Yeah. What a real dummy. Now, okay, so this is when they have to have that come to Jesus moment. Nick is now forced to have this conversation with Caroline. Caroline tells Jess, hey, you stole my boyfriend. Caroline is, she wants a timeline. She's like, okay, well, prove it. You didn't.
I love, by the way, how she did that, Mary Elizabeth, when she was just like, timeline now.
No, yeah,
because it's exactly what it is. She's like, did you cheat on me or not? Like, I need to know, and somebody better tell me the truth.
Right, 100%. And she eventually, so she gives her the timeline, which is a pretty funny timeline. And then she, she wishes them luck and tells her it's only a matter of time before Nick stops letting her be the little spoon.
Yeah, she kind of eviscerates Nick. She's just like, you're the girlfriend now. But eventually he's going to fall out of love with you and treat you badly and ignore you. And you're not going to be important. And you're going to be me. And you're going to be the ex. Okay, so you think you're so great. But that's not what's going to happen. Which makes Jess leave and go stand in the shower.
That's right.
Stall. And cry. Because it's kind of like the crappiest situation. Like, you don't really want to hear that. And here's the thing. She's kind of done it to herself. She says one of the funniest things, and I was like, man, this is, again, such beautiful, perfect writing, because she's like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And then she says, I've lived a very fortunate life. And I loved it so much because, sure, it's like high stakes and whatever, but if this is the worst thing that's happened to you, you still, by the way, have the guy who's in love with you. Like, is not mad at you for leading on your ex and is like here, like giving you a hug when his own ex is going crazy. That was very funny. I was like, what a perfectly written line. Made me laugh so hard.
Oh, yeah. But Jess is in the shower. He brings her back out, says, okay, I'm going to finally tell Caroline
the truth.
The deal. I'm going to tell her the truth. And, that's when he lets her know, hey, you're right. I fell in love with Jess the moment I met her, which is so sweet. Now, before we dive into that anymore, let's just rewind. Let's just go back to Schmidt's loft. Sure. Schmidt's on the couch. He's in one of his bang spots. Ready to unleash the glass menagerie on said young lady. And then that's when Tiffany comes in. She's trying to go to the kitchen looking for water. And
she can't drink the water by the bed. So she's got to get some water.
Because it's got contacts in it. And then it turns into a bit of a hectic situation where she's like, who the hell is this dude? And he's like, well, who the hell are you? And it turns into a big back and forth. I don't know, this whole moment. I remember shooting this episode. I remember the ins and outs of this room, going in and out, doing a bunch of dumb bits in my underwear. And I was like, literally, I was like, can I just be wearing regular night clothes? And they're like, no, you got to be in your underwear. It's like, okay, cool. But I'm like, well, they're fully dressed still, so they clearly haven't gotten started. And then I'm here I am sitting in my underwear, and then I just like the fact that Tiffany's like, what is this, some kind of freaky? What did she say? This freaky,
nasty group sex game.
And then Bertie's like, well, it's been a while, but let's go.
My favorite part was when they're sitting there, the girls are like, it's Tiffany, right? And then it's Schmidt's girl. And they're just like, well, then who's Frank Skabopoulos? And then you open the door and walk in the room and you're like, I am Frank Skabopoulos.
I'm like, Schmidt, I forgot the plan.
And then you're like, I forgot the story. Wait, what was the plan again? Then totally give the whole thing up immediately. Yeah. Total
because
disaster.
It could have worked. I could have been Frank.
You can't say the quiet part out loud.
I know. Winston be making mistakes, in the words of Coach. He'd be making mistakes.
And then Birdie's sort of like, oh, did someone say group sex thing? It's been a minute, but I think I could figure this out.
Yeah.
So funny.
Oh, my gosh.
I love Birdie, man.
So then the night is over.
The night is over. The girls are out, except for Birdie. She's just like, this mattress is amazing. I'm going back to bed.
She's going back to bed. We was getting it in. Getting it in. So then, yes. So then, we go back to the place. Caroline's very thankful to Nick for telling her the truth. Jess apologizes to Berkeley. She takes some blame, finally, that, maybe I shouldn't be sending you, sweet kissy faces and stuff like that. And then Nick and Jess, they share a passionate kiss, as one does at the end of an episode. Hannah, we'll be right back. And we're back. Babe.
We didn't talk about one of the funniest lines in this episode.
Which one?
Where Jess starts saying something when they're all together, when it's Caroline, Berkeley, Nick, and Jess, and says something funny, and then she's like, I have a great instinct for comedy. I love those moments. I love those little moments where you're watching as a fan and yes, Jess is saying that in the moment of the scene, but also it's Zooey Deschanel getting to say, I have a great instinct for comedy. I loved it so much that line made me laugh too. Also in the tag, the Nia Vardalos as one of the names of the sex positions made me laugh so hard because I love Nia so much as a human being.
Well, that was one of the there was a line that they didn't use from when they said Nia Vardalos, and I said what's that? What's a Verdugo? What's that? I'm not familiar with what that is. They cut that out. But anyway,
so funny.
Yeah, the tags are always great, and I'm sure in the tag Schmidt was Max was just going for it.
For sure,
up, 100%.
Making everything up. Also, all of you guys egging each other on, being like, so what is it?
What's this one?
Describe it. What did you just say? How does that one work?
It's I like that one. I could sit down in that one. I don't know what that is.
All right, babe, let's get into it. We are gonna mess around.
Can you truly ever be just friends with an ex? We talked about it a little bit, but...
Here's what I will say, because I have grown a little bit in my life. Mm-hmm. I feel like, man, everybody's different. Everybody has different things that they can live with and not live with and be comfortable with or not comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And I think you just have to be truly honest with yourself and then your partner, right? Mm-hmm. And then just stand by it. So for me, I was always the truth of my thing was, it wasn't I couldn't be friends with my ex. All my exes would have loved to be friends, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Because it was cool at the end. But I didn't want to meet somebody, fall in love, and they're just hey, here's this girl I was naked with a week ago. Let's go brunch with her.
Yeah.
So for me, I was well, you didn't want to be a hypocrite. So I had made just my own policy, which was sort of and I would say it to me when we started dating, hey, I hope this lasts forever. But if we ever break up, just so you know, I don't bring exes into my life. So then if that, we'll be done and love you. Goodbye. And so I always let people know that. So it wasn't a surprise, they felt ghosted or deaded or something. They just kind of knew that's how I operated. And I was I hope that's how it is with your exes. And if it's not, then I know we're not meant for each other. Because it's going to bug me. So I could at least be honest and tell the truth. Insecure. That's just me and my truth. I think it's insecure to say something, but it's not the real thing because you're not comfortable with yourself to actually tell where your comfort level lies. That's my comfort level. But other people have different ones.
I heard everything you said, and I think it was BS, Hannah. I heard it, and I didn't like it. And here's why.
Different strokes for different folks.
Hannah, you have to be like the nature of water. You see, it seems
I'm washing away all my exes. Bye.
Here's Head the thing, down Hannah, it seems weak, but it can penetrate.
Why?
It seems useless, but it can fit into any container. Be like the nature of water, my friend.
Oh my gosh! Okay,
you got to be fluid with these things. I believe you can. I believe you can be just friends, but like you said, it's on a scale. It's on a sliding scale. It depends on this. It depends on the person you are with, not your ex. If you're willing to go, like you said, the full mile with a person, and they don't like that, then you have to be willing to sacrifice that element. Sure. And don't bring your exes around.
I will say I've heard from lots of my exes. I feel like every single one of my exes have surfaced.
Because you
got
famous.
Wait a minute. Uh-oh.
Baby, I've changed.
I changed. You look so successful.
You're so rich. You're so
What's the word?
Okay. Caroline does some wild stuff in this episode. Some wild stuff. What is and I know you have. What's the craziest thing you've seen or heard an ex do? Because I know personally you've done some crazy stuff, but like, what about your exes?
What about you? You have crazy ex stories. Exes doing crazy stuff.
I do.
For sure.
Let's see. I think
both of us actually have had some crazy exes that we've met of each other's that have done things where you were just like, I think they're struggling with this breakup.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Do you need a place to go while they keep showing up at your door? I feel like you and I've had a few of those conversations.
There is one person that definitely wouldn't leave my apartment at the time. I lived in Hancock Park, and I'd broken up with her for a very good reason, and it was a peaceful breakup. It was one of those like, it's time to go. You gotta go. You gotta. Sure. She knew why. That's fine, but you gotta go. And I had work the next day, so I was like, I needed to get some sleep. I had to be on set for the show, and I was like, you gotta go. And she wouldn't, I lived in an apartment complex at the time, and she wouldn't leave. She just kept banging on my door and screaming. And like,
I remember this.
And crying and, don't leave me. And I was just like, so security had to come and remove her. Yeah. So that was an interesting one. Lovely, lovely girl. But sometimes what happens is when you give a woman what she wants, when you give her what she needs physically, like she's never had it before, it's hard to detach. You know what I'm saying? Separation, anxiety, because her body will never feel the same again. You understand? Sure. And that's what I had been doing to this woman, and now the tap was off. You know what I mean? The fountain was unflowed. You know what I'm saying? And so she wasn't able to receive thine divine intervention. You know what I'm saying? So she wasn't able to get that no more. So she couldn't handle it, and that happens to a lot of women. I
haven't seen you try to pick up a woman in a long time, but if this is like the slipstream of the bit that you do, it's impressive that you land anybody.
I don't land anyone, to be quite honest with you. Let me tell you something. I am as dry as the desert sand out here. I'm all talk.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Ladies, do you remember the beginning of this podcast where basically every single episode we just described your dream lady, and we're like, please DM us. We were like, we're guising this as a new girl podcast, but really we're just here to try to find the one. This is The Bachelor as a podcast.
Never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I will find that special someone. I will. She's out there. She's in these streets. Not like that. Maybe she is. I don't know.
You know what's really wild? Okay, so when I rewatched the episodes last night, I was thinking about, it was like watching you do all this super funny stuff on screen. I just remembering this now that we're talking about this. This is 100% true. I was like, oh, he's going to meet her this year. She's going to come into your life. Whoever she is coming into your life this year.
Oh.
Facts. I'm calling it now. It's February. We got 10 more months. She's going to come for sure. We're going to revisit this clip in December, and she's going to be sitting right next to you.
Oh.
I know it. I can see it, and I know it.
Ooh, this year. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we just got to figure out a way to get Zoe Kravitz in my house.
Okay, last question. Do we think Berkeley and Caroline could have been a couple? That woman pretended to drop the baby. It's a no from me, dog.
Well, he's crazy. He was trying to take his baby. He was trying to go to a motel with just with the baby. They both crazy.
They're both unfit. I do not recommend them for each other. I do not recommend them for that baby's well-being.
What someone was going to say, I recommend Child Protective Services comes in. They take the baby, give the baby back to the mother, and then he can
Claire
go off.
Involved.
Yes,
that's
he can
give the baby back to Claire. Claire needs to leave Berkeley. Bye-bye. Yes. And then sure, if Berkeley would like to date Caroline, I think they would have a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're both crazy. They're both crazy. Yeah. It would be weird. It'd be very, very weird. Yeah, folks, thank you for listening. We definitely appreciate all of your love and your fandom for this show. Please make sure you follow us on IG at The Mess Around Pod. Please share our clips, send them to your friends, and sound off in the comments. We definitely love that. We appreciate that. Send us questions, videos, anything at themessaroundpod@gmail.com. That's themessaroundpod@gmail.com. And, go ahead and buy one of those lovely little shirts that Hannah's wearing. If you truly are a fan of the show and you truly...
This is how sales works. You just be like, listen, if you love me, if you ever loved me, you will buy this shirt from this website.
Please. No, we'll be back next week with episode 316. Sister. Bye.
That was The Mess Around, an iHeartMedia production.
Our executive producer is Joelle Monique. Our senior producer is Abu Zafar. Bei Wang provided engineering and editing services.
Additional production from Daniel Goodman, Wendy Heisler, and Kyle Chevron. Our theme song was written and composed by Ronald Jukebox Jackson.
Catch you next time.
Bye.